If you've been actually observant about how the Kenyan public transport system looks like, you realize that the Toyota Hiace, or a chopper or box as it will be called in the streets, is actually a very popular car. It needs no introduction. But then there is this NISSAN NV350, a similar car when it comes to the body styling and practicality. But then it's not doing that well when it comes to sales. Welcome to 0 to 60 Motoring once again. My name is Bill, and in today's episode we're going to compare this 2015 Toyota Hiace versus this 2016 Nissan NV350. How do they stack up against each other, especially for someone who wants to put them into businesses? Which one will be better to run? So in this comparison, we are basically going to look at metrics like reliability, the engine options, something like fuel economy, the running cost, and most importantly, the car that will actually give you a better return on investment, or even return your coin quicker. Remember, 0 to 60 Motoring is that channel that is going to guarantee you unbiased car advice and reviews. So if you want to purchase a car, you can actually check our Facebook page. We have prepared some reviews there. You can also check our YouTube channel. We have prepared some videos to help you make an informed car purchase decision. In case you don't find a review, you can always ring us and then ask us about that specific car. And also, if you want to purchase a car, you can always ring us for pre-purchase assessment and inspection. We can also help you source a clean car in the Kenyan market according to your specifications. That is the goal of 0 to 60 Motoring. Basically, we make your car ownership journey easy. So when you're looking at these two cars, basically they are almost as similar in size. That's why you'll find at them that they can be used interchangeably for long distance travel, because they normally come with 3 seats on the front, or even a second row seat, but you can install like a 14 seats in them. So that's why they can easily be 14-seater vans, or even 10-seater, or even 11-seater vans over long distance travel. So when you're looking at the sizes of this car, it's kind of similar. Even the faces are actually pretty similar. There is nothing much you're gonna talk about the aesthetics of these two cars. None actually outshines the other when it comes to the faces. Unlike the Nissan NV200 and the Toyota Hiace, whereby I said that the Nissan NV200 has looks that only a mother can love, here the Toyota Hiace and the Nissan NV350, both of them have similar looks. Even getting into them is pretty similar. They are actually exact replicas or copycats of each other. This is the Toyota Hiace. This is how you get into this car. You have this is a sliding door here. Actually, there is another one on the other side. These rows, you can actually fit like 4 rows of seating here. Those are 12 passengers. Up front, 2 passengers. You'll be carrying 14 people. For the Nissan NV350, it's pretty similar. You can also fit 4 rows of seating here, and you also have a twin sliding door on the other side. So these vans are actually pretty similar when it comes to the styling and the practicality element. Now, both the Nissan NV350 and the Toyota Hiace actually may come with a different body design. There are versions that actually have a high roof, and they are slightly wide and slightly longer. That means that you can actually fit like 4 seats. Both of them actually have that element. That is why I was saying that they are copycats of each other. The high roofs are actually more accommodative and let me say more comfortable, especially if you take them and then you fit 3 seats. That is on the width. They are actually pretty comfortable over long distance, and better than these smaller ones when it comes to the practicality and the comfort of the passengers. Now let's talk about the engine options in the two cars. Now let's start with the engine options of this Nissan NV350. Now the Nissan NV350 for year 2015 and 16 only comes with 3 engine options. 2 of them are petrol ones, that is a 2000cc petrol and a 2.5 liter petrol. All of them normally aspirated, or if you like, naturally aspirated. No turbo, no supercharger. But for those who are into business, the engine that is going to make the most sense is a 2.5 liter turbo diesel. So there are 3 engine options: 2 liter 2.5 petrols and then 2.5 liter turbo. How about the Toyota Hiace? For the Toyota Hiace, actually there are 4 engine options to pick from. There are 2 petrol flavors and then there are 2 diesels. Now let me start with the petrol ones. We have a 2000cc petrol, natural aspirated, and then there is a 2.7 liter, normally called the 2TR, something you're going to find in some versions of the Land Cruiser Prado or some versions of the Toyota Hilux Surf. And then for the diesel ones, we have a 3000cc turbo diesel. It's normally called the 1KD. Similar engine in some Hiluxes and some Prados. And then we have a 2.5 liter turbo diesel. It's normally called that the 2KD. So this one has 4 engine options to pick from. This one has 3 engine options to pick from. But for those people who are into business, most probably they are going to consider the diesel versions. So this one actually wins that element because you have 2 diesel flavors to pick from: 2.5 liter, 2.5 liter, 3 liter turbo diesels. This one only has 1 diesel option, that is a 2.5 liter turbo diesel. Now that you know the engine options, what are the types of the gearboxes that you're going to get for both cars? Now, for the Toyota Hiace, you can actually find it. Something like this car now has a 5-speed manual transmission, but you can also find it with an automatic gearbox. That is for the petrol flavor and the diesel variant. This one, it also comes with a 5-speed manual transmission, and it can also be found with an automatic gearbox. For all the engine options, you can find all of them having either an automatic or a manual transmission. So the choice will depend on what you like. But from my experience, the manual gearbox tends to last longer. That is why it is the best pick for me, especially for those people who are into long distance travels. Now for both cars, that is the NV350 and then this Toyota Hiace, you will find that most versions will be rear wheel drive variants. Basically the engine will be sending power to the rear wheels only, but you can still find them with a 4-wheel drive. That is in case you want to convert them into tour vehicles, something that can traverse harsh terrains, especially in the game parks or the game reserves. But for those people who normally will be traveling on tarmac or utilizing the cars on tarmac, it's good getting the 2-wheel drive, the rear wheel drive variants, because they return better fuel economy and actually they're cheaper to maintain than the 4-wheel drive variants. Now that you know the engine options and the gearboxes, how do the two cars compare when it comes to reliability? Let's find out. Speaking of reliability, the petrol ones are actually very reliable and very simple engines to live with. That is the 2000cc here 1TR and the 2.7 liter petrol 2TR. Even for the petrol flavor of this one is actually very reliable, but in business most people are not going to consider them because petrol prices are actually higher and those things are not fuel efficient. The main engines people are going to consider are the diesels. How do the diesels compare in terms of reliability? Now when you're looking at these Hiace here with a 2KD 2.5 liter or the 1KD 3 liter turbo diesel versus the 2.5 liter here turbo diesel, you realize that initially during their early ages, both cars will actually be pretty simple to live with, especially when you utilize them and you service them religiously. But as they age, both cars will tend to be affected by things like injector issues. That one of course will be coming out, especially depending on the quality of fuel you are using. But from my experience with the two cars, I tend to find that the 2KD here or the 1KD here will actually live longer than the 2.5 liter turbo diesel here. So on that ground, I'll still award the Toyota Hiace more marks than the Nissan NV350, especially on reliability, because someone who's into business, they want something that is going to return to them a good coin and still not take it back to repair cost and maintenance. So when you're looking at reliability and let me say running cost, you realize that the Toyota Hiace will actually be easier to run than this Nissan NV350. When you're looking at elements like fuel economy, you realize that the 2.5 liter here turbo diesel will actually be more fuel efficient than the 2.5 liter here 1KD or even the 3 liter 1KD or the 2.5 liter 2KD here. But basically the fuel economy figures will vary greatly depending on where the car will be used, the load and the driving style of the driver. Most probably someone who's into business, they want to know which one will be actually give a better return on investment. Now that takes me into the pricing element of the two cars. The Nissan NV350, actually the pricing for the diesel variant, the 2.5 liter diesel, will start at around 2.2 to 2.3 million thereabouts. Now for the Toyota Hiace, let's look at something like a 2KD 2.5 liter turbo diesel. The pricing will be around 2.6 million shillings, while the 3000cc 1KD you can actually find the pricing at around 2.9. Some have even crossed the 3 million mark. Remember, whatever I'm referring to here are foreign used cars. Let me call them mutumba, because basically if you go to the official dealerships, you're going to find that 0 mileage units of these cars are actually very expensive. Now 2.25 million shillings or 2.93 million shillings, which will actually be return your coin quickly. Now if this car remains in its good shape, it doesn't tact up when it comes to reliability, it doesn't start living in the garage, there is a high probability that the Nissan NV350 will actually return your coin quickly. The reason that the NV350 will actually return your investment, return your coin pretty quick is actually very simple. You are getting it at a lower price tag than the Toyota Hiace by around 800,000. That basically means if it doesn't tact up when it comes to reliability, there is a high probability that you are going to claw back your coin quicker for the NV350 than and you're going to take longer getting your coin back for the Toyota Hiace. But then most people in business, because this one is a tried and trusted van, they rather go for something that will take longer to return their coin, but at least they are guaranteed that it will return that coin, compared to something that is cheaper, but at some point it may act up and then it may become problematic before even returning the whole investment. So if you're pretty sure that you're getting some unit that is in good condition, be sure that the Nissan NV350 will return your money easier and quicker than the Toyota Hiace. That is how the two cars rank when it comes to return on investment and let me say value for money, especially for the first 5 years in business. Actually, it's something that can also be shaping up your decision when you're purchasing the two cars, which one will last longer. So basically you're looking at longevity. Now these cars, you'll actually find that they have a similar body styling and even almost similar ground clearance. Actually they fit the same size of tires, that is the rubbers and the rims. Now these cars, they'll actually live long, especially if you maintain them pretty well. But if you don't, for example, let me say you overload them and then you don't you drive them on bad roads, you cannot compare the strengths of these cars versus their predecessors. Now something like the older Nissan Avant, it's a very strong car compared to this one. Even the Toyota Shark has a stronger body compared to this one. That's why I'll say that when I'm looking at longevity, I may not necessarily say that the Hiace has a longer lifespan than the NV200 or NV350 or vice versa. That one actually will boil down to the maintenance and how you are going to use the two cars. But if you're going to look at the engine longevity as a factor to consider or to rate one higher than the other, then most probably the Toyota logo here will shine over the Nissan logo here. Most people will be doing a business, they may not be interested in when it comes to something like speed and let me say driving dynamics. But when I'm comparing the two cars in terms of power, especially when I'm looking at the top variants, I find that the 1KD engine here, that is the 3000cc turbo diesel, is actually more powerful than the 2.5 liter turbo diesel you are finding in the NV350. But one thing I like about the Nissan NV350, especially on the driving seat or the front seats, I find it more accommodating, more comfortable than the Toyota Hiace. But then you have to be a very keen driver to notice that slight difference, because these things are actually pretty similar in size and the styling. Of course, another thing maybe you may want to know is that these cars are actually very basic. They have, let me say, very minimal technology, so don't expect that they will be having very good interiors, because these things should be actually be used in business. So if you want something that has a good sound system or something that is gonna please you, most probably you're going to do some aftermarket modifications. You install some sound system in the boot. That's how you're going to make them more livelier. But in their basic form, they are only suitable for business, that is hauling people or even hauling a luggage from point A to point B. Now you've known that the 1KD here and the 2KD Toyota Hiace will actually be more reliable than the Nissan NV350 by a small margin actually, because both cars will actually be affected by similar issues starting from injectors etc. But then the Nissan NV350 actually comes cheaper than the Toyota Hiace. That actually means this is the better car if you want something that will return your coin quicker. But if you want something that will live longer, especially when you're looking at the mechanical component longevity, then you can actually place your coin on the Toyota Hiace. So if it is me as an investor and I want something that will return my coin quicker, I'm going to look at a Nissan NV350. But if I want something that is going to live longer and basically I'm going to get more support, especially when I'm looking at the Kenyan industry, the technicians who understand these things better, then most probably I'm going to consider the Toyota Hiace. I guess you've now known a little bit over the 2015 Toyota Hiace and versus this Nissan NV350. I'll see you on the next one on 026 Motoring.